Everyone. I'm going to wait for you guys to tune in. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Come on in. Come on in. Share this live with your friends, family members, cousins, aunts, anyone who has an immigration matter so they can join us live. Good morning, Nori Cakes. Good morning, Ansiel Brina. Good morning, Madame. Okay, it says good morning, Madame. Good morning, Maurice. Good morning, I am Marcy. I don't have any topics today, so you can feel free to ask me your question. Magma Pasta says, very pleased to be your client. Love you and your whole team loves. Oh, thank you so much. You guys have like all these names that are aliases, so I never really know who's commenting. I am Kwabe says, good morning. Looking good. Thank you. Good morning, Lawson. Cleopatra, good morning from YouTube. Amina. Carl, good morning, Carl. I haven't seen you in a while. Akina, good morning. And Unruly. So let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration lawyer. I represent clients with the immigration matter all over the United States. My hair is so unruly today, but I had a headache, so I didn't want to wear my headband. If you want to schedule a consult, it's 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp to 404-333-8751. Your location doesn't matter. So we have our main flagship office here in Atlanta and the location in Florida, but we represent clients all over. So we'll be happy to assist you regardless of what state you live in. And if you're tuning into this live when I'm done, you can find my phone number in my profile on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. It's also scrolling through the ticker. So you guys just jump right into it. You can start asking questions. Nani says he has a question or she has a question. Go ahead. What is your question? Babe Ruth says, love your necklace. Thank you so much. T-Miles says, good morning from City of Angels. My question is, what are the signs your VAWA is going in a good direction towards approval? Signs are going in a good direction is one, of course, you get your receipt, you get your prima facie determination letter. If you applied with adjustment of status, you get your work permit, travel permit, and then typically, if you don't get any RFEs and you're still within the timeline, then everything is going well. And most likely you'll get an approval. If they need additional evidence from you, they'll send you an RFE, or they'll send you, or if based on what they have, they can't make a decision, they'll send you a notice of intent to deny. So that's it. If you've passed, the average window, then we want to do some inquiry just to see what's going on and why, it's taking so long, with your case. Sometimes they may be doing an investigation. We tend to find certain people, if you've been married before and divorced before, and your divorce was not in the US, those tend to take longer because they have to do an investigation on your divorce. But most VAWA cases will take anywhere from 18 months to 30 months. As you can see, it's very broad. It just depends on the case. It just depends on the officer, but most people fall within that window. Kwabe has a question. Go ahead, type your question in. Odhendo, my number is 407-995-6567. If any of my team is on here, you can just put that in the comment for them. Queen Nori says your hair looks great. Thank you so much. If you know me personally, you know that I absolutely hate wearing my braids down. But I have a headache today, so I'm wearing it down. My wife filed a petition for me, but on my profile it says 2 months until decisions, and that was the first day in April. Please, I want to ask, is it going to take exactly 2 months? Dr. Remy, honestly, that's a new thing. I don't know. So that's the honest to God truth. If you saw that in April, then wait till June to see what it is. But I've never seen that where it will tell you 2 months to a decision. I can see timelines, but I've never seen that. So maybe that's something that shows when you log into your own individual profile, but for my attorney profile, I don't generally see that. All right, Baba Fee, you guys are gonna make me do the work. Let me just type it in. When I'm typing it in, I have to pause talking to type in the phone number. So just give me a second. Let me put it in because 6567 or WhatsApp, because I can't talk and type at the same time, especially with numbers. I'm pinning my phone number to Instagram. On Facebook, it's right there for you to see. Same thing as on YouTube. You can see it. So Precious says, my friends filed a marriage-based application in California, and it's taken a lot of time in their state. Is it possible for them to transfer their documents to Illinois or another state? It doesn't work like that. You have to go to your field office, meaning where you live. That's where you have jurisdiction. Sometimes even some officers will be difficult and say, well, we don't have, let's say, your interview is in another state and you live in another state and you travel. They'll say, well, we don't have jurisdiction. We're going to travel. We're going to transfer it. So you don't really just pick a state and say, I'm going to forward my stuff there. You have to live there to do it. David says, good morning, Aisha. God bless you. A good heart for being there for all of us. You're welcome, Davis. I recently got approved for my VAWA. My son is still in Jamaica. How do I get him up? He was on my VAWA documents as well. He's 12 years old. Congratulations. That is awesome. If your son is in Jamaica, you need to do an IA-24 so that they can transfer his own approval letter to the National Visa Center. Once they transfer it to the National Visa Center, then he can fill out his you can fill it out for him, his immigrant petition on NVC. And then once it's documentarily qualified, they will schedule him for an interview, and then he'll be able to come here. Process-wise, that can take anywhere from a year to 2 years just to prepare yourself for backlogs, but that's just, what it is. Akina says, after submitting biometrics, how long after USC has reached out to you and tell you that they have received it? How long after that can I expect? Yeah, but your biometrics go in the day that you submit it. So if you submitted biometrics today, your biometrics will be in USCIS today. I can't really give a timeline. Before I used to be able to say, after biometrics, I know within 12 weeks you're going to get your work permit or your green card. Now it's just really hard to say. Some people still fall within that window, but it's just really hard to give you a definitive date. So it's easier for me to say, well, when did you file your application versus when did you do your biometrics? And then I would be able to give a more definite date. Someone says, what's that post? I saw a question. I saw your last post where age is a red flag. My spouse lives in the USA and she's 73 while I'm 33. Does this disapprove my immigration chance? My case has been approved by the National Visa Center. So it doesn't. A lot of times, when we say red flag, it just means that a U.S. officer is going to pay more attention to the application to understand why your spouse is 73 and you're 33 years old. It just means they're going to be tougher on you. It doesn't mean that your case is going to get denied, but it just means that they want to make sure that this is a genuine marriage, because one of the things that they look at is that if you're married a 73-year-old and you're 33, what is it like in your country? Like, what is normal? Like, do men, from your name Francis, I'm just going to make an assumption that you're male, but they're going to say, okay, so do men typically, marry women that are 40 something years older than them? What connection do they have? They're going to be looking for stronger proof of a bona fide marriage. It's not impossible. It's just, these are things as like, oh, raise the eyebrow. It's like someone says, oh, I've been married 5 times. I'm getting married again. Raise the eyebrow because of the amount of marriages. It doesn't mean they're going to be denied. It's just, you really need to be very careful to make sure that you have all documentation to show that your marriage is a legit marriage. I filed for citizenship December 28th, and I was sent a letter that I don't need a new fingerprint, but up till now, my case status has been updated that a fingerprint has been taken. Yeah, so typically it depends on when you did your last biometrics. Sometimes if your biometrics was within a reasonable time, USCIS will do what we call a biometrics bypass. So they'll just bypass the fingerprints and use the old one. So it will update on USCIS saying fingerprint has been taken, meaning that they've transferred that fingerprint to here. Sometimes if your case has been pending for a while, let me use VAWA for example. Like if your VAWA case has been pending for a while and you get approved for VAWA maybe like 2.5 years later, most likely you will need to do biometrics for your interview, because at that time they want to get a fresh fingerprint to make sure like there are no new arrests or no new issues that they don't know about. My gosh, my hands are so dry. How long does it take to get a response from immigration if you file VAWA? Right now, there's a delay in getting receipts, and this is documented on USCIS website, which is why they've moved a lot of things to Lincoln, Nebraska. Before it used to take like anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. Now it could be 2 to 3 months before you get a receipt. So that's kind of, the timeline. What if you file, this is scrapped on YouTube, what if you file for VAWA and you want to get married before the process is over to another U.S. citizen? Is it easy to switch? Is it not recommended? I've talked about this a lot, and this is really, a personal answer. But to answer the question straightforward, if you file for VAWA and your VAWA case is pending, if you go ahead and marry somebody else, then your VAWA case becomes null and void, and you'll no longer be eligible to get a green card through VAWA. Now, if you say, you know what, I don't care, and I just want to be done with that, let me just marry this new person. Here's my thing, and what I would say to clients, and only you knows your own relationship with your new boyfriend or girlfriend or fiance, and what the outcome could be. When I personally have a situation where I don't have to rely on anybody, and this is just me because I'm someone who's independent and like to make my own decisions. If I know that I'm eligible for VAWA, and again, this is me personally. You can do what you want, but I'm just telling you personally, if I know that I have a VAWA petition pending and I have a new fiance, the first thing I'm going to think about is I am in this VAWA situation because of a previous marriage. So I do not want to put my future, as it relates to my legal status or that of my kids, on any new spouse that I don't know if it's going to work out or I'm going to find myself in this situation. So I'm happy to stay engaged, but I will get my VAWA, my green card through VAWA, so that when we do get married, we know that this is off the table. They can never come back to me and say that I married them for a green card. They can never dangle that carrot over my head, etc. So that is where it comes to you making the personal decision or not what you want to do. But again, if you have a VAWA case pending and you remarry, it's done. It's finished. You're not gonna, be approved anymore. Kiara says, I read that they're planning on shortening the VAWA processing time. Girl, where did you read that? Share it with me because I haven't heard it. And I would love to hear it. If that is true, that'd be wonderful. But I have not heard any updates whatsoever that they're shortening the processing time. Alicia says, good morning. I missed you. Nice to see you. Thank you, girl. Let's see who else. Okay, no, I answered this question already. Adwa says, good job. Let me go to Instagram. Would you recommend a waiver if you plan to travel within a couple months out of the country? I don't understand the question. Like, a waiver is usually something that you file because there's a reason that you don't qualify without the waiver. So I'm not really sure what you think or what you're trying to ask. Whether you travel outside the country for an overstay, do you have an active case? Do you have a misrepresentation? Did you cross the border? Like, those are the things that would require a waiver. When USCIS denies your first I-485 and I reapply again, does it affect the new application? The answer is it depends. It depends on the reason for the denial, and it also depends on, are you filing with the same person again? For example, if you were denied because they believe that you entered into the marriage to circumvent the immigration process, or as marriage sham, marriage fraud, all of that same meaning, then it will affect it, because you need to overcome that in order to get a green card through somebody else. Basically, if there is a judgment against you that, you had a sham marriage, basically you're not going to be able to ever get your green card again unless you're able to overcome that. So in that situation, yeah, it could affect you. If you mail your adjustment of status, how soon will USCIS receive it? I don't know. It depends on what you used to mail it. Like, so you should have a tracking number, and it should tell you, I don't know if you sent it first class mail, FedEx, overnight, 2-day delivery. So it's all a matter of when you sent it and when your delivery is. Obviously there's some of you guys here that, self-file yourselves, which you shouldn't be doing, but it's okay. If you do, you want to make sure that you're on top of your own documents, and then you're tracking your document to make sure, when it's delivered. What's the common wait time after submission of medical RFE for family-based green card AOS? Honestly, it's different based in different field offices. We just had one, we sent it and then 2 weeks later they got approved for the green card. So it just depends on the officer, but I would say 30 to 60 days is what we tend to see. So hopefully your green card is on its way. My friend did file for VAWA since February 2021. She got her prima facie and they kept renewing it, which is normal, and that's okay. She just filed for work permit and green card October of 2002. Will she get a work permit? Yeah, so if she filed for a work permit and selected the right category as part of her VAWA, she should get a work permit soon. Very soon, actually. Clayco says, I wasn't on point with all my interview questions for marriage. Now the case is under review. What can be the motive on that case? I don't know, because I don't know what you answered. I don't know if you had a Stokes interview. I don't know if they separated you guys. So, at this point, it's one of those things where it's like spilt milk. Try not to stress too much about it. I know it's easier said than done. Just wait and see. Sometimes, you think that you didn't do so good and then you did okay, or if anything else, what's the point of worrying over it when there's nothing you can do right now? You just have to wait, till you get your RFE or your notice of intent to deny. And then once you get it, then we can then say, okay, this is what they're asking for. Can we provide this, or can we have an explanation? Sometimes couples are very, very nervous, or people are very nervous when they get in front of an officer and things that they normally know the answer to, like they get in there and like they will have like their brain will just, like, I have literally interview prepped people, and gone into like 2 particular instances that was so shocking to me. And I realized how nerve-wracking this process can be. Was, they filed joint taxes together. We submitted the joint taxes. When we got there, they were like, oh, did you guys file taxes together? And he's like, no. And I was just like, what do you mean you gave me this joint taxes? And it was like, he was, it was like his brain just came back. Or like one where it's like, do you guys have a joint bank account? Oh, we don't. And it's like, here's a joint bank account with both your names on it. Like, so, and sometimes if I know like one of my own clients is just someone that's really nervous, I usually try to tell the officer, he's a very nervous client. She's a very nervous client. So just, giving you the heads up to give some grace. Katie says, good morning. VAWA was approved in January. Oh, yeah. What's the average timeline for green card boats filed together? I would say give it about 6 months for them to either schedule you for an interview or request your medical or bypass your interview if you don't, if you already have a medical that's still active, for them to make a decision. Okay, I can't click this link here. Email it to me. but I will do some research on it myself. I don't take anything from roll call seriously, but I will I will check it myself. And when I check it myself, I will talk about it online if it's something valid. Okay. If a child overstays their visa when they were minors, does it affect them revisiting when they're older? Well, as long as they're minors under 18, it shouldn't, because they're not going to penalize a child for something that they don't have control over. If your parent is making you overstay, you're a child. You don't really have control over that. So it's not fair, which is also why they don't accrue unlawful presence until they turn 18. After 18, if they're still here, then they start to accrue unlawful presence, and then they need a waiver. If, let's say, they needed to do like a consular processing. All right, guys, there's so many questions. I know I'm missing several. I'm not able to get to everything. I did my marriage-based green card on May 13th, 2022. I just got my work permit, advanced parole, and social, and my daughter is back in Jamaica. How long do you think the case will be approved? I'm not really sure I understand. Whose case are you talking about? Your daughter's or yours? 21 Kim 2-Step says, do you submit medical with VAWA? Personally, I don't, just because of how long VAWA cases take, and the fact that medical requirements have changed a few times over the last few years. And so the clients end up having to send a new medical. However, for marriage-based now or any family-based that's an immediate relative, I definitely recommend submitting the medical with your application. Retired says, would you advise a client flagged for fraud marriage to try for VAWA? So that's not how VAWA works. VAWA is not an alternative because you're flagged for fraud marriage. If you are flagged for fraud marriage, you'll still get fraud marriage in your VAWA. You only try for VAWA because you're in an abusive relationship, or your spouse was extremely cruel, your parent was extremely cruel, or your child was extremely cruel, and they're, U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents and stuff like that. But it's not a backup because you're flagged for fraud marriage. You have to actually be eligible for VAWA to file for VAWA. All right, 2 more questions. Can anyone file for VAWA? This is a good question. Let me talk about those who are eligible for VAWA. If you are in an extreme cruel situation, an abusive situation, and you are the child of a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and you're under the age of 21, you're eligible to file for VAWA. If you don't file for it before you turn 21, but you want to file for it before you turn 25 and can show that part of the reason or what caused your delay from filing was the abusive parent, then you can file. Second group of people that are eligible are spouses of U.S. citizens or green card holders. You can file for VAWA. It doesn't matter if you cross the border, you came with a visa and overstayed, you can still file, or you're in removal proceedings. If you're eligible for VAWA, you can still file for VAWA. Again, you have to be eligible. So I'm here listing out the people that qualify, because same people that qualify, you still need to meet certain requirements. If you meet the first one, there's still other requirements, but this is the basics. The third group of people would be parents who their children are U.S. citizens. So if your child is a green card holder, you cannot be eligible for VAWA. If your children are U.S. citizens and they're over the age of 21, and your children have been emotionally cruel to you, abusive, psychologically, mentally, not necessarily physically, manipulative, and basically things that cause you trauma, as a parent, you can be eligible. So those are the group of people that can be screened to determine eligibility for VAWA. All right, guys, I actually have to jump off. Oh my gosh, there was one good question I wanted to take, but I really have to jump off right now. I'll be back on live next week. If I didn't get your questions answered, feel free to schedule a consultation. I mean, you guys, schedule a consultation. you have uninterrupted time with me to get your questions answered. You can call 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp, 404-333-8751, and we can get you scheduled. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later.